Welcome to Unveiling Mythical Legends. If you happen to be alone right now wearing headphones or lying in bed scrolling to this video, and you like conversations that aren't loud or flashy but slowly creep into your mind, remember to subscribe, hit like and share it with someone who's been tired lately but too embarrassed to say it out loud. Because today's content isn't about teaching you how to succeed, it's about slowly letting go of the things you've been carrying in your heart for a long time. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our episodes.
Alright, let's get straight to it, no beating around the bush. If you really feel that life is exhausting right now, so much so that you can't even be bothered to explain it, family, unemployment, health, age, self-esteem, each one tugging at you like a rope. I want to start with a question that might make you uncomfortable, but it's honest. Do you really feel that this body you're using right now is you?
Wait a minute, that question feels a bit too philosophical. Most people would probably just say, of course it is, otherwise who else could it be?
Don't rush to answer. Let me ask it another way. That voice in your head that talks all day, the one that sometimes wakes you up in the middle of the night, digging up old mistakes, counting failures, rehearsing the worst possible future, do you really feel that that voice is the master of this body?
Honestly, I never thought of those two as separate things.
Exactly. That's because we've been taught from childhood to think that way. But what if I told you that the personality you take pride in, the principles you've upheld your whole life, the pains you think are deep, unique, and misunderstood, what if they're actually just serving the massive colony of bacteria in your gut, or a string of genetic codes you can't even see? Wouldn't you suddenly feel like your worries aren't quite as elevated as you once imagined?
That sounds a bit harsh. So you're saying my whole life is basically just being used?
From a biological perspective, yes, and very efficiently, I might add. We like to call humans the crown of creation or the essence of the universe, but if you zoom out and look from a cool, detached angle, humans are basically more like a large, sophisticated biobus with a built-in autopilot system.
A bus.
Exactly. And the ironic part is, the you sitting in the driver's seat, thinking you're in control of the wheel, isn't really the owner. The true passengers are the microbes, the selfish but incredibly efficient genes. They use you to eat, to fall in love, to have children, to copy, back up, and pass on their information. And when this bus gets old, breaks down, or can't run anymore, they just get off and board a new one.
What about us?
We often stay inside when the bus is being retired, crying our hearts out, thinking, how could this happen? It's not fair. I worked so hard.
That really sounds like dark humor.
Exactly. That's why I said it's actually quite absurd. Many people, once they reach middle or old age, start asking the same question over and over, what was my life for? For my children. But the kids have their own buses. For my reputation? That's just a vibration in the air. The reason you feel so much pain isn't because you've truly lost anything, but because you've created an enormous illusion in your mind.
What kind of illusion?
The illusion that you're the owner of this bus. You think you can control every part of it. When something wears out, you blame yourself for not trying hard enough. When something breaks, you see it as a failure in life. You even wish it could never break, never go offline, and stay forever young.
But isn't that just human nature?
It's like being a tenant renting a house. You live there long enough and start complaining that the floors aren't fancy enough, the walls aren't stylish enough. So you tear it down and renovate, even carve your name into the beams. Then one day the landlord, nature itself, comes to reclaim the house, and you sit on the floor crying, asking, how could you do this to me?
Hearing you say that, I suddenly feel like we humans really love to put on a show.
Let me tell you a real, and even crazier example from nature. There's a fungus that specifically parasitizes ants. It slowly takes control of the ant's brain, forcing it to climb up to the high leaves of a tree, bite down on a leaf vein, and hold on tight, until it dies.
That sounds terrifying.
Even more terrifying is that during this process, the ant thinks it's making its own decision. It might feel like it's on a grand expedition, fulfilling an important mission, but in reality, it's just the fungus guiding it to the perfect spot to bloom and release its spores.
So its free will is actually an illusion.
Exactly. And honestly, humans aren't that advanced either. When you suddenly crave something sweet in the middle of the night, is it really just your own desire? Not necessarily. It's quite possible that certain microbes in your gut are sending signals. They're hungry, they want sugar, so they release chemicals that interfere with your nerves, making you feel like, I want cake.
So I thought I was enjoying life, but I'm really just feeding the tenants.
Exactly. Likewise, when you lie awake all night worrying about your children's future, is it really just overthinking? Most of the time, it's your genes behind the scenes, cracking the whip, pushing you to sacrifice your present happiness for their continuation.
So, in that sense, emotions aren't really something to blame myself for?
Exactly. Once you understand this, you're less likely to feel ashamed of those sudden thoughts, because they aren't necessarily you, they're more like system notifications.
Did people in the past ever think about this, or is it just modern folks being so pessimistic?
They did, and actually, they saw it more clearly than we do. Take Zhuangzi, the ancient Chinese philosopher. When his wife passed away, everyone assumed he'd be utterly grief-stricken. But when they went to check, they found him crouched on the ground, banging on a pot and singing.
That image is really striking.
His friends asked him, "You spent your whole life together, raised children, and now she's gone. Not only do you not cry, you're even singing. Does that make any sense?"
How did Zhuangzi respond?
He said something very key, roughly like this: in the beginning, she didn't even have life, no form, no breath. She gradually gained breath, form, and life through the changes of heaven and earth. Now she's simply returning to that state without form and breath, just like the cycle of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. She's just going back to nature's bedroom to take a good rest. If I were to weep and wail beside her, that would actually show a lack of understanding.
That sounds very calm but also very gentle.
Exactly. He completely deconstructed the idea of the self. He saw clearly that this body is just a temporary borrowing of vital energy. Since it's borrowed, sooner or later it must be returned. If you treat something borrowed as more important than anything else, and suffer as if its wear and tear is the end of the world, that itself is a cognitive misalignment.
If I truly accept this perspective, that I'm just a tool, a borrowed body, doesn't life lose all meaning? Does it mean I can just lie back and do nothing?
Actually, it's exactly the opposite. That's the fascinating part. Once you realize you're just a tool, you become free. Think about it. If you always see yourself as a grand building, you'll worry about storms, falling walls, earthquakes. But if you see yourself as a tree by the roadside, or a fungus in the soil, would you even feel anxious?
Trees and fungi, they really don't seem to worry about tomorrow at all.
Exactly. They just follow the sunlight and water, grow when they should, shed when they should. Your anxiety, attachments, and need for control? That's just an overdeveloped side effect of your cerebral cortex. You think letting go means losing everything, but in reality, simply flowing with the universe is already more than enough.
But modern society keeps telling us to be yourself and love yourself. Who exactly is that self?
That's exactly the problem. That self is often not really you, it's a social role, your monthly salary, your status in the family, the polished image in your friend circle. Those are just graffiti on your bus. The real you is the part that feels sunlight, hears the wind, enjoys a cup of tea or a single leaf. No need for successful kids, no need for overflowing wealth.
That sounds so light, but I'm not sure I fully understand how to do it.
It's simple. First, let go of control. Accept that your body will age, get sick, and feel pain, but that doesn't mean your life is diminishing. Once you realize you're just the observer, not the driver of the bus, you can start enjoying the act of observing itself, not the outcome.
Observing the process? Like sitting in the bus and watching the scenery?
Exactly. You can only experience the moment of observing the scenery, you can't take it with you, nor do you need to force it to last forever. It's like retirees who no longer care whether they're needed. They play in the dirt, spend time with their grandchildren, or interact with small animals. Their happiness comes from seeing through it all. Uniforms, status, achievements, they're just temporary props given by society.
So wisdom is really this simple? Just relaxing?
Exactly. But relaxing doesn't mean doing nothing, it's a kind of open-ended wisdom. You no longer stress over what you cannot control, nor carry the heavy weight of a false self. You learn, like fungi, to decompose, slowly breaking down your pride, regrets, and unfinished ambitions. In doing so, your life force actually grows stronger.
So it's like the life of a flower? It blooms to attract bees, and when it withers, it doesn't cling.
Exactly. The flower's blooming is its purpose, its withering is liberation. No attachment, just fully experiencing the present moment. That energy is pure.
But what if things at home aren't going well and I still feel really upset?
Then tell yourself, this is just the car wearing down, it doesn't mean your life is shrinking. You can still watch the sunlight outside the window, sip a cup of tea, observe ants moving their home, or feel a brief breeze. In this moment, you're no longer old Zhang or old Wang. You are the universe perceiving the world through your eyes.
So life is actually a grand act of giving?
Exactly. You borrow atoms and oxygen from nature, and eventually return them. That's a complete, full cycle. There's no regret, no need for fear. Those who live long and with clarity are often like old trees, unconcerned with petty matters, squatting in the dirt playing with children. That's true freedom.
So this is like letting go of all my stress?
Absolutely. You're no longer the CEO of the universe. You don't need to worry about the world, just focus on the present you can feel. Cry when you need to, laugh when you want to, play your part on the stage of life. Everything else is nature's arrangement.
I think I get it now. The point of life isn't holding on, it's letting go.
Exactly. When you let go of that false me, you'll find that freedom feels more real than anything else. You no longer fret over insomnia, anxiety, or regrets. Instead, you begin to hear the wind, the fish, the growth of all things, and you hear the genuine laughter deep within yourself.
I'll try to let go and just feel the world.
If you enjoyed this late-night conversation, remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and share it with a friend who often feels tired or anxious. This isn't just philosophy, it's a little warmth for both of us in the drama of life.